Hey guys, welcome to another MapleStory 2 video. Today I'll be going over my thoughts on the Berserker class. I played Assassin in KMS2, so I wanted to try something else, and I heard a lot about Berserker's power and popularity among the forums, the community, because from what they say, it's the most broken class in the game, especially in PvP, so I thought, why not give it a shot? Okay, so this is going to be the most important part of the video, so I want you guys to stare at the screen for a good 5 seconds or so. This is my opinion, this is purely subjective, it is not a Berserker guide or a why you should play Berserker, this is just my honest opinion on the class. So what I'll be saying is based on bias, by personal experience, it's not entirely backed on by facts. I'll still be providing information during this video about the class, the playstyle, etc, but my I like this class, I don't like this class is opinion based, so if you guys are looking for an objective and informational guide video, this is not really the right one for you. In the future, I'll have class guides on how to play, but I only got to play one class during the closed beta, so we're going to have to wait on the others. Anyway, so now that I got this out of the way, let's go into the review. I have only one thing to say for this class, and it's pretty obvious. Okay, that's not my entire opinion, but yeah, you'll be pressing and holding down one key for the better part of your career in this class. Berserker skills are very one-dimensional and they get a little old. I found myself using Death Spin until I get 10 stacks of my Dark Aura passive, and then use Groundbreaker or the finishing attacks Darkbreaker or Intimidation, and I didn't try out every skill because you only went to level 50, so you couldn't unlock everything, although I'm aware that you can reset your SP to try out a different build path should you desire. Zerks have many duplicate abilities. Void Slash and Raging Slash, they're essentially the same skill, except Void Slash is a small dash and it roots you in place, preventing you from getting knocked back. But since every boss moves around so much, it's hard to use both of these. I feel they could have been more creative with their skills a little bit. Groundbreaker and Darkbreaker, if you couldn't tell their similarity purely by their name, they're both finishing skills, but one does more damage based on how many stacks you have, while the other one uses all your stacks to leave a detonation ground, which again, a lot of bosses move around, so its effectiveness is subpar at best. I attempted to be creative with the skills in game, but I always ended up spamming Death Spin until I got 10 stacks of Dark Aura and then spam Groundbreaker. There's not really much else that you can do. Earthquake is a notable skill. You essentially splatter a large dot field on the ground, but as I said earlier, bosses they move around a lot, so you won't be able to get them in there for a while unless you know exactly when they're going to be standing still to block your damage, but for the most part, it's very clunky. I couldn't use it too well. I like that Zerks have an innate sustainability in their kit, which is Bloodlust, where you do a crit strike and then heal for your max HP. Always handy, restoratives aren't the most potent in this game since classes like Assassin don't have that, but since Berserkers quite literally kill themselves to do damage, you kinda need it. I think they're the most clunky and, I guess, slow class, the slowest class of any in the game. They have very long animation times, and even though it's not impossible to land these hits, yeah, I found it really difficult to keep up with bosses that move around, but ranged classes they generally don't have this issue. They're strong, don't get me wrong, they do a lot of damage with their skills, but they have low DPS. For those of you who don't know the difference between damage and DPS, you can think about it like this. Damage is raw attack power, while DPS is attack speed. Obviously DPS is more important in longer fights, but damage is more important for shorter fights. Berserkers have high ratios on their skills, so you just need to burst out objectives, you can do that too. Like I stated earlier, Zerks are very one-dimensional based on my experience. For the most part, you spam Death Spin until it's 10 stacks, and then you choose between 3 things. Either consume all stacks to use a stronger version of Intimidation, consume all stacks to use Darkbreaker, which leaves a dot field on the ground that can add to your DPS along with Earthquake if your target stays in place. Alternatively, you can keep spamming Groundbreaker. It does more damage the more Dark Aura stacks you have. What I like to do is use Groundbreaker twice and finish off with Darkbreaker and Intimidate, since Groundbreaker doesn't consume the stacks but the other two do. Zerks are really good mobbers. They have the highest SP sustain of any class in the game, barring activation of Holy Symbol, so your Death Spin can keep spinning over and over again as long as you're attacking something. The way it works is that Dark Aura gives you more SP regeneration along with empowered abilities, and it increases in stacks and it procs every time for every second that you spend in combat. So that basically makes it so that you can spam the same ability over and over again. I find myself tearing through siege-based defense quests like the ones in the story. They're far more easily than when I was playing on my Assassin back in KMS2. But while they have amazing mobbing, they don't have good single target DPS, which means they're not the most reliant class for damage dealing during raids and dungeons. You won't really be finding yourself doing the most amount. However, Zerks are not meant to be a damage dealing class, at least not entirely. Like their sister class of the Knight, their primary role is a tank in party runs, so Zerks can face tanks so much damage, especially when there's a priest nearby, and I find myself surviving normally fatal attacks with slivers of HP. Try your best to draw aggro from mobs as you go through dungeons and raids because you make a good meat shield if not else. I would say Berserkers are a great intro level class because they're simple to play and they're relatively strong. Like if I were to make a best classes for unfunded players, this would definitely hit the list. They get pretty boring after a while though. Don't misunderstand, I love Death Spin. It's a really cool ability, especially when you're attacking like 50 dudes at once. Such a satisfying feeling, but I feel really useless in boss fights because I've never really been a person who plays tanks. If I were to ever play tanks, it'd be like bruisers, like in League of Legends I would play Renekton, Darius, etc. I never did PvP because since it was closed beta, I saw no reason to fully invest into the game since in closed beta everything goes away after a week. So I basically only played for exploring through the progression and not so much the other stuff. You would think with my obsession with housing and my overwhelming excitement for it that I would dive right into that, but no, I actually didn't do anything creative or non-gameplay related, like designing clothes, play music, do housing, etc. because, okay, wait, no, this is a Berserker review, not a what did I do in MS2 video. Back to Berserker PvP, from what I was told, unless you're phenomenal when it comes to mechanics and you have far higher damage than Zerks have armor, they will almost always win. I think a good half of the top players in PvP in closed beta for a long time were Berserkers, which makes sense because unless you can burst the Zerker in a single rotation, you would have to build your SP back up, all the while they can continue whooping your ass. Not to mention the arena is in a really enclosed area, so it's kind of hard to kite them around. That's my overall thoughts to the video, and I'm going to give Zerks the benefit of the doubt and keep playing them when the open release comes because while they might be super strong after level 100, if I were to put Berserkers on a scale of strength in early, mid to late game, they'd be one of the best mid-game classes. Other classes are way better than Berserker's early game, like pre-level 100 and pre-gear acquisition, but then they become absolute terrors once you reach mid-game and get decent gear from what I'm aware of. But when you reach the super late game when it's all about sheer number, statistics, min-maxing, what have you, I think classes like Assassin, Rogue, and Ranger to get much stronger because just they have more speed. So in my personal rating, I give Berserkers a 7 out of 10. They're not bad by any means, they have great power, but that's all they really have, is power. They get kind of boring though. I like playing classes that do more than just stand still. Okay, I know in MS1 that's basically all you do is stand still and spam one ability, but I meant I like classes that move around and are mobility speed heavy rather than units who just ground themselves. Right, so that covers it for this review. I want to make an Assassin review next, but since I played that in KMS2, and also I didn't really get him that far, I'll wait until the open release for the other class reviews. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any requests for classes, just let me know in the comment section below. Just remember that these are reviews, like my own personal opinion, my reaction on it, not really a guide. I'll try to play them once I finish getting my main across, but I'm not entirely sure if I want to do Assassin, or Thief, or even Runeblader, but I think they're not going to be releasing the special classes when they release the game right away. So I'll see what I'm going to do. Although, because Thief classes are like in MS1, a bitch and a half to fun, I'll probably play something more simple and easy to gear just to get started, which means I might be playing a Berserker after all, even though I don't find it the most appealing class. But if you guys just want to leave any comments in the comment section below, a like, subscribe, be appreciated. And I was told that MS2 might be delayed, so there's actually a video I'm going to be making probably either tomorrow or the day after to see what I'm going to do about it. But for now, just stay tuned. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.